Alright, the next part of the wader repair, since I did find some holes, I'm going to go ahead and stitch them up. I've got some of the bigger rounded needles I use for mostly for the wader repairs. This I use for, shirts or thermals or anything like that that I've had out hunting that's gotten tore up. It's not required to go ahead and stitch them all the time. Unlike that one I have, it's a little bit more of a tear or a cut with a hole in the center. So just to back it up to keep it from ripping any further, I'll go ahead and throw a few stitches through it just to help strengthen it. And then I usually pick a color that will either blend in with the waders or that I have a lot of extra of. I will go ahead and tell you right now I am not using the pink. I don't think it's ever actually even been opened. And then the next thing you'll need for repairing any kind of waders is some kind of, I use shoe goo. My uncle got me started on it back 15 years ago. That's what he always used on his waders. They seem to work pretty well. I've had a mouse actually chew a baseball size hole in the crotch on one pair of waders. And with a little bit of thread, needle, some shoe goo, and trial and error, I was able to get the hole stitched up and watertight. It wasn't the most comfortable pair of waders I had after that, but it seemed to do the trick. And they were brand new waders too, which is what made me mad. So another proper thing you need to do is make sure that you store them someplace up off the ground in a box, preferably that's like a big Tupperware box or storage box. Usually I had mine store out in the barn at my grandparents' house. They somehow the box got knocked down to the ground. The mice got into it. Somebody noticed it and hung them back up. And one of the other reasons I'm a proponent of checking your stuff way early, right now it's the beginning of August, because in that instance I went out and got my waders and had my buddy on his way to pick me up to go to the field, and lo and behold I had a massive hole where you don't want to have a massive hole in a pair of waders. So ever since then I wash them usually before I put them up. They either go in a wader bag or in a storage box of some sort, and they're usually in the house in either a closet or in a spare bedroom or storage room. I don't really leave them out in the garage too often just in case mice do get out there. But yeah, it's good to check them right now because a lot of the times you can find waders on sale if you were to open the box up and find that a mouse has decided to turn them into Swiss cheese, or just in that instance there's a lot of holes in them, or the tread's not worth it anymore. So usually I check Cabela's, Max Prairie Wings, Rogers, Sporting Goods, those kind of places for waders. They usually have them on sale somewhere June, July, August for pretty decent price. So luckily my waders are still good, and I'm going to go ahead and just use them another season. There's no point in buying another pair. I just bought those 2 years ago, and really for the amount of holes in them, they're doing really well. So, all right. So what I did is I went ahead and got my waders over here at the table, and they're a little moist still, so I'm gonna have to remember to move them when I'm done. But I've just got them slung over the back of a chair just to help support them since they weigh so much. I'm a bigger guy. I actually have the I believe they're called the Big Boy expandable ones from Max Prairie Wings. But as you can see, I've got just a little bit of a tear right here. And then I've got a couple spots here that I pointed out outside when I was rinsing these off. So what I'll probably do is just put goo here and here on these and just work it in into the holes here, just to make sure it gets sealed up pretty good. And then I'll probably smear it out in about a circle about that big, or like so, just to make sure that it's attached very well. But this one here in particular I got to looking at outside, and there is actually a hole in it. So this will probably be the one I sew up. And what I'll do is I'll actually start some of the string probably here at the bottom and put it inside and just stitch it back and forth all the way up, just with circular, around motion. Knot it real good and then stitch it back through, just so it gives it a little extra support since it is tore. And then I'll probably goop it, probably a finger width on each side all the way down, just to make sure that it's sturdy. And then after a couple days of it drying, I'll check it again and see if it needs any more, just because this one is such a big hole. in comparison to some of the others that I have. I always end up putting goop on the crotch every year. I don't know if there's a hole in it or not, if it's just the way the water hits it. But I just like to just be on that extra careful side of it's gooped up. I don't have to worry about water actually getting in there, because that really can make a good hunt go bad very quickly, and make it miserable the rest of the time you're out. So what you want to do is get your needle and thread, your shoe goo, which I showed you earlier. I think this stuff's only like $5 or $6 for a tube of it at Walmart, and I've had this one for about 3 or 4 seasons, so I'm sure it's going to be stuffed up in there. So I use a screw just to kind of clean it out, get the stuff flowing again. And always sweet tea in your favorite cup or glass. This is my Lambert's cup I bought when me and my wife first got married, and that's what all I've used it for, basically. So, not a uncle size little Tupperware cup. It's the big boy cup. So, all right, I'm gonna get to stitching on this, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. All right, so let me show you here. Now that I've got somebody to hold the camera, it might be a little bit easier to do. So you can see here, I actually run it through just a little bit on the top and a little bit on the other side of it and through. And making sure your thread stays out of the way, just pull it nice and tight, wrap it over, move up just a little bit. If you go too far, that's okay, you just back out. Try again. Through, round, tight, just like that. Okay, just to show you how hard this neoprene is. This is my needle I was just using, and while I was going through, I got about halfway down to make my pass. The needle broke. Luckily, it didn't stick me or go on the floor where the dogs could step on it or anything, but gives you an idea of just how tough the waders can actually be once you start getting them all stitched up. Okay, so my tube of shoe goo was actually pretty well clogged up and pretty thick, so it wasn't even usable. So I ran to the store, grabbed a new bottle. It is $4.96 at Walmart in the shoe department. So what we're going to do is take this, and basically I'm just going to push the tip of it up against like that and squeeze it and run a bead up, which will fill into the holes hopefully and help seal that, and then I'll basically just kind of run it out and then smooth it with my finger to get it all over where the tear was, and hopefully it'll seal it. Okay, so now that we got the goop on here, just kind of take the fingers here and just kind of smooth it out over the seal and make sure it's completely covering the hole and the threads. So see, actually I need some more up here, so I will have to squeeze a little bit more out there, but for the most part I've got it pretty well everywhere I want it. Okay, so now we got these spots, so what we'll do is just put a blob and see if we can get it focused. Put another blob. Kind of slowly work it in. You can see here where the hole was, just that little spot there, and I've got the goop all the way out. It allows it to seal into here, the threads here, make a better seal. Okay, so while this stuff is wet. I found a little cheater way to work on this is to get you a hair dryer from your wife or mother or spouse or whoever has one, or you can go buy one for fairly cheap and just use that on there to help dry it and make it a little bit more pliable so you can see if you need to add more or not. So just one of the things I do. You could probably let it air dry overnight and it would do just the same, but I like doing it and checking it and re-gooping it and once or twice so that way I know that it's actually covered. Okay, you can kind of see here that it's pretty well dry, and that's just coat one. It's a little rough right here where the seam still is, but it's held in pretty nicely. It's nice and smooth. Don't feel any ridges sticking up or any little spots that I missed up here or anything. Spots over here, you can see they're pretty well dry too. And these look good. I don't think I'd have to worry about these, so I probably won't do any more on those, but I will probably do a second coat on this one, maybe even 3, just to be on the safe side. But yeah, I think they'll hold up.